This podcast contains adult language, descriptions of violence, sexual references, and other possibly offensive themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Previously on Back to the Story.
Flip the coin, and that determines what side you go to, Jekyll or Hyde.
I'm honored deeply, but I think before you let me into this little traveling family of yours, I should probably go into a bit more detail about what I'm doing out here.
I did not expect you to be so late this night. We shall probably leave early.
Gone down to get a bowl of salt water and make an attempt at praying a little bit first before we set out.
Speaking of whatever that is, so you guys eventually rise on your first day upon the ship, and there's 3 days before you land on the other shore. It is raining heavier the first day, getting heavier the second day. We'll just go through the list. Ellory, what was it you wanted to do?
So the first thing that I wanted to do was go talk to the elf with the glaive, who we've seen a number of times at this point.
Yes, Voyeur Haladalan Auricula. Yeah, you can find him. He just seems to be the ship watcher. Older, in quotation marks, grizzled, handsome elf. Older, he looks like he's in his late 30s. You have no idea how old he actually is, but that's what he looks like. He has tan skin, budding golden brown goatee, medium slick back, tied back in a bun. He actually wears armor compared to the others that do not, and he carries the glaive.
So at some point when it seems like he isn't too busy, I'm going to go up to him and say, so we've spoken a few times now, but I don't think I've ever introduced myself. My name's Ellory.
Hello, I am Voyeur Haladalan, and he raises his hand out to shake yours.
All right. So I shake his hand. I take it things may have been a bit more exciting this trip than they usually are for you.
Yes, a bit.
Hopefully this leg will be a little calmer.
He chuckles as he looks out to the rough seas you're sailing into. Maybe not calmer, but easier to deal with.
Calmer in certain ways than in others, I suppose.
People are hard to control.
True. I was wondering if I could ask you a couple of questions.
Sure. Shoot. And he was staring off into the sea. He now meets your gaze, and you see his eyes are electric blue. The same blue of, like, the Twitter icon. It's unnaturally blue.
How long have you been sailing?
All my life. You can ask the same of most golden elves, and most will tell you the same.
Have you been to Embershore often?
No, I had been before, but it had been many years.
I was just kind of curious because before my friends and I set out, I was doing a little bit of research on ships that had been to Embershore, and I noticed kind of a gap when there weren't really any Golden Elf ships coming to port there. Do you know anything about that?
When was this gap?
Oh, it was about 10 years ago.
Every so often, the Golden Elves we meet in the Gaethalt Sea. And while we're there, it is, we cannot hop from port to port like we normally do. That may have explained the gap. I didn't, go last time. I was stuck.
Stuck?
In foreign lands, losing a ship is like losing a friend.
I guess I can't really imagine that, but... Well, I know what it's like to almost lose a friend.
I've lived a long time, and I have lost more than I care to remember. But it is the way of things. You live, you learn, and sometimes you die.
Yeah, hopefully not too much of that last part, though.
Yes, if you're fast, sometimes you kill.
I don't mean to pry if this is something personal, But are you a follower of Valtameri?
It is not trying. I am not. I respect the gods, but I don't actively worship.
That's fair.
There was a time I spent time in temples of Akashon, but more just to get some bread. Those temples have fallen since last I was there. And the whole of Harsama has. It is a shame.
What was the name that he said?
Harsama. Most call it Draconia.
Ah.
The desert waste. Civil war has torn their country apart. I tried to help put it together. Buried my sorrows of my ship and family in blood and alcohol, but I got through it. Harsama did not. Blood, coin, gem flows freely there. If you are, and your friends are mercenaries, there is a good amount of coin to be earned there. Oh, it's dangerous.
I wouldn't really call us mercenaries. We're on a pilgrimage.
Do we all? He looks out to the sea and you can see it's getting heavier as it begins to roll in.
Well, if we do run into any trouble of the sort that requires fighting while we're on this last leg of the journey, I'm sure my friends and I will be happy to help out.
I will accept it. Thank you, Ellory. And he puts his hand on your shoulder and gives it a squeeze. With that, I will return to my watch.
All right.
He smiles and nods and heads back to work. So as the days are going on, Ellory, were there any other things you wanted to do?
There is, but it kind of requires getting everyone else together, so I don't know if other people want to do their things first.
Okay. We'll just hold it and you just speak up when you think the time is right. Kalvyn, is there anything you're doing?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to, unfortunately, I would have preferred to do it with Meli, but if it's unrealistic to have it work, it's just basic research stuff. But I guess I could do it with Amsen instead if you think that it'd be better suited, or
I mean, you could do either or both. Up to you.
Well, I'd start off with Meli for sure. I just basically I would bring. I mean, I don't know how much we want to do right now, but I would bring the note that I got from the beacon, and I would just explain everything to her about the things I have seen, and see if she could help me do some research the next time we get the chains.
Okay. She can definitely do that. The next time you'll have access to a library, she could definitely dig in. Going off of it, now she's not trained in religion, especially obscure works, as this. But she has some foundational understanding of the different planes and understanding gates in between planes and how that might affect magic. But she definitely agrees to do research, help you with research once you arrive to somewhere with a library.
Oakley. I might, if once we get the whole gang together, also say a few words too, if that's all right. I won't steal all Ellory's, thunder, but it won't be nearly as big or anything. Just kind of sharing notes, but that's it. That's all I got.
Okay. So another group one, Amsen.
Amsen is probably just going to just be there and exist. Probably playing songs, writing, probably playing some sea shanties or something. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, letting yourself be inspired by the sea and the journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool. Vesper.
I think probably the first day I want to try and find Kalvyn.
You find Kalvyn.
Okay. Hey, Kalvyn, can we talk for a moment?
What? Yeah. Hey, Vesper, what's going on?
I just wanted to get your perspective on on how we are. I mean, you and I agreed that this was going to be our opportunity to put our disagreement behind us and turn over a new leaf. And I wanted to know how you feel it's going.
Well, I don't know. I thought everything was well. Is there something specific you had in mind? An instance that things might have gone sour?
I think everything's fine. I just didn't want to assume that everything was fine because I thought so. I wanted to check with you and make sure that you were also feeling all right.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't think you've treated me any differently than you normally do. So that's, I mean, whatever that means.
That's a good thing.
Sure.
I also just wanted to ask you, I noticed you were getting more into Valisol. You spent quite a lot of time at the temple back there.
Yeah, ever since we found that spear, a lot of signs have kind of pointed toward me. I feel like I've had, I don't know, I don't want to get too weird, but it's like I've seen things and it feels like I've been pointed in that direction, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does actually. What have you seen?
Well, a lot of it's jumbly and it's hard to make sense of, but I've seen a tower and I've seen some shadows around it, and I've felt the light, and I don't know, just, obscure things like that.
Do I know anything about this kind of thing?
I don't know, do you?
I mean, Dear Roe is a follower of Valisol, so I don't know how much she taught me of that.
You can roll a religion, or you can take the 10 as the other option.
I will roll that because that's really good. That is a 26.
Okay, and what were you thinking about?
The tower and shadows and, like, the light, as he kind of describes it, if there's anything that immediately pops into mind.
Okay, what'd you roll?
A 26.
Nothing, like, specific, like, you know exactly what this is, scenario, but you do, I mean, the description of the shadows sound very fiendish, whether they're infernal devils or abyssal demons, you're unsure, but it definitely sounds fiendish. As far as the tower, Valisol is known for the beacon, the sort of lighthouse is sort of a symbol, and maybe that's that. With your expertise being an AI, you don't know what a specific example this is, but you do know that definitely sounds like fiends. You probably know something about the land of Armageddon between the hell and the abyss.
Well, it might be symbolic. I explain the beacon and all of that. And I explain it to make sure that Kalvyn's getting what I'm explaining to him.
What, you mean like it's a representative of something?
Right, like you're seeing a tower overrun with fiends and watching the sun burn them away.
I'm not 100%, I don't know, there's a lot of, I've had at different times I've seen different things. Like when I first got the spear, I could have sworn in the flames that I had put the spear in, there was or maybe it was the ashes, I don't know, I had a lot to drink that night. There was a tower that was formed and it seemed to light up, and then it slowly level for level. I don't know. I was going to talk to all y'all about this because, something, destiny, coincidence, and friendship. We had talked about at the bar, and I thought, maybe if everything's connected, maybe we should all know about this stuff.
I think that's a good idea. And I'm glad you found comfort in this.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed he kind of does like a little shimmy shake and kind of sways his mantle cape thingy, and he's like, "Yeah, I found what they call a glory, and it is my virtue to and I will pursue it in my attempt to glorify." Yep. I don't know. I'm not feeling too good. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I don't know much about Valisol. But you might talk to Bal. He's had visions before that I think might be divine. I've never had any visions. But
Oh, well, I mean, okay. I don't know if Vol prays to Valasol. I would assume that's where they came from, but I could be wrong, I guess. Maybe they came from Vol.
no, I think Ball has visions from Ayin, but he might be more of a touchstone than I can be in that particular experience.
Okay. I don't know where we're gonna find a stone to touch.
Talk to Ball about
I'll
your
talk
visions.
to Ball and we'll see how
Don't
that
mention
goes.
the stone, just talk about your visions with him. I think start slow.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was gonna talk to everybody about it
Yeah.
a little bit later when we get a moment. So, yeah. High five.
All right. I'll high five him.
Okay. Anything else for you, Vesper?
I might at some point just want to, since we've been on a boat and I don't usually use my rapier, I might ask Amsen if he wants to duel and just kind of
Spar
keep
a little
in
bit.
practice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and doing it on the first day or so be better before the heavy storm hits. Yeah, it's a pretty good training session. You're slipping on water, trying to maintain your footing. More helpful than you thought it would be.
Out of curiosity, what happens to Vesper's hair in the rain?
That's a really good question, and that's one of the reasons I don't think she likes rain. She doesn't like getting cold and wet.
Does
hates
she
it.
just go bald? I don't know.
No, it's not smoke. It's really hair.
Oh.
It
I
moves
imagine
around.
the volume though depletes.
Yeah,
Got it.
because her hair is just regular hair, and but it moves like it's always in the wind.
Got it. I was a little confused. Maybe
The
it's just
smoke in between.
tries to move.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the smoke from your fingertips. That's right. I thought your hair was smoke.
No, but smoke can kind of curl out of it because flavor.
That's fine.
Okay. Ball.
So I wanted to spend some time fishing and getting to know Nambra a little bit better. Doesn't necessarily need to be acted out as a scene, but that's something that Ball spent some time doing. And then when he gets the chance, he wants to find Kalvyn and try to get some help from Kalvyn in terms of sketching out the design plans for a new sword.
Okay. So you spend some time with Nambra fishing, just getting to know her a little bit. Try to sketch out a few notes on what you're looking for. Kalvyn, give me a smithing tools check using intelligence, but with advantage since Ball is kind of trying to help.
That's not cool, my friend.
Trying to design something that makes sense. Make sure it's weighted in the right places.
Okay, that is insanely good. -2 plus proficiency. So +1. So that's a net dirty 20.
Dirty 20, okay. So, Ball, what do you describe to him? What do you and Kalvyn kind of draw up roughly on a parchment?
I am literally drawing what a greatsword looks like, except Ball's just I want this, but bigger. And then I draw a great sword.
Kind of going back to what you had tried to talk to me about before we were on the docks. Are you familiar with Monster Hunter at all?
I'm not, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I have an idea of a sword that is very much a Monster Hunter sword. It's a huge ass blade. I wish I could find a video of it. But there's a video of some guys that actually made one, and it's super awesome. Let me see if I can find an image. But that's kind of what I'm envisioning. And
Ball, you had mentioned before a double-headed thing at some point.
Yeah, but I think we can kind of sort of the details later, maybe. I guess either way, we're going to have to communicate it to the blacksmith at some point.
Okay, but you'll have a parchment where you draw out a pretty well-designed, huge greatsword that seems like it would be pretty well balanced. So I'm going to dirty 20 somewhere. I'm just going to write that down so I remember, so you don't have to do that step. Anything else for you, Ball?
No, that'll be everything.
Okay. Ezekiel, what are you doing?
I think Ezekiel's sort of quiet on this. He's going to spend a lot of his time in prayer. He's trying to figure out the visions he saw a few days ago and, I don't know, figure out what he's supposed to do next. I think he's nervous as he makes his way home, just as it gets closer, more and more worried that something might not be okay.
Okay. Yeah. And so we see you kind of praying on the ship, worried expression looking out east. With every bit you travel, the closer you get to home and the closer you get to having to actually deal with whatever is there. You're no longer across the sea. You're getting closer. If that's everything, I think there was just a few people that wanted some group things. So at some point, you guys are in a group and you guys can do group stuff.
So I think Amsen wanted to do one more thing.
Yeah,
Sure.
because I suck at remembering stuff.
Yeah, what's that?
So I guess the first thing will be with Ball. And so at some point during 3 days, I'm going to walk up to Ball, and I will ask, Ball, can I have a moment of your time, please?
Yes. What is it?
So, we've been journeying around for some time, and we've gotten into quite a few scraps recently. And I couldn't help but notice, this is something maybe that not everybody has noticed, but you turn into a great ball of fire whenever you fight.
Yes, I noticed that too.
Do you know why?
I think that Aileen listened to my prayers. I haven't had a chance to thank her yet.
What did you pray for?
I didn't think that just my strength was enough, so I asked for a different way to, I suppose, protect those around me.
All right. Well, Bull, I've told you this in many different forms, but you are just fine the way you are. But I'm glad that you have some sort of magic powers, as Amsen kind of wiggles his fingers towards Ball. They have turned out to be quite useful. I was just wondering if you knew how they came about so suddenly.
I still don't have magic powers like you do, to be able to make a person laugh or cry with a few words.
Ball, you make us laugh every single day. Maybe you just don't realize it.
Ball gives you a confused look. He doesn't realize it.
Alright, well, just know that we all think that you're great. Don't forget it.
And then Ball's like, because Common isn't his first language, Ball is going to, in his head, hear giant, like the synonym for giant, rather than great, like big, and just be like, yes, I am.
There you go. That's the confidence I want to see in you. And then I think Amsen will head off. And then the other little thing that I wanted to do was quickly talk to Vesper and kind of poke her and say, got another one of those healing potions?
I have a few.
Yeah.
Which one would you like? The regular or the concentrated? I have more of the concentrated.
I'll just take a regular one.
Alright.
But yeah, I could use another one.
I'll hand it to you. Is that all? You're just using me as your personal alchemist.
Sure. I don't have the other one anymore, so... And I know that you've got a bunch.
I have 3 of the small ones now.
Alright. No, this one's fine. Thank you.
Oh, Amsen, I have a terrible memory. I wanted to share a story with you, since you've shared stories with us so often.
It is the life that I have chosen. You don't need to do such a thing.
Well, figure it might be nice. And you can add it to your repertoire.
Alright, then hold on one moment. As Amsen takes out a book or something to write in, whatever he's been using as a journal, and opens up to a blank page.
So you remember that holy symbol that Vivian had, the redeemed back in town?
The one with the extra wings, yeah.
Right. That, in particular, is a symbol of one of her saints. An angel by the name of Seraphar Diether? Am I saying that right?
You don't know.
Great. Seraphar had 6 wings and was one of Aiain's champions. She was the fastest of her servants and the divine saint of songs and symbols. She carries the messages on her 6 wings, which makes her so quick. And her most notable exploit as having to travel to deliver a sign of redemption through hell itself. She flew through the Eternal Legion, passing through the 6 houses of hell without being caught. And as she soared over Armageddon, which is between the abyss and the infernal plane, her wings flamed with the infernal hellfire, and her defiance of Sither, who could not stop her. Sither, as you know, is Aaine's greatest enemy. And she was gone again before they even realized she had gone through.
That's a really nice story.
I like it.
I do too, and you told it quite well.
Well, I'm no you, but...
And I'm no you. Yet we overlap on each other's roles in life.
Do we?
I don't hear as much as you do.
No, and I don't sing nearly as much as you do.
I'd like to hear you sing sometime.
I am not very good. But maybe someday. If I'm drunk enough.
Everyone's their own worst critic.
That is probably very true. Not today, but...
I wasn't saying today, but yes, at some point.
Alright, fine. At some point.
Thank you.
Okay. So that those things were happening throughout the journey, the 3 days at various times. So you guys at some point meet for group after dinner, whenever.
Yeah, so I was thinking that I would probably spend most of the first day above deck in the rain, but then as it got heavier, probably go downstairs to where most of the group has been spending time, I think. And at some point, I would just kind of ask everybody if they had a little bit of time. I've been meaning to talk to all of you about some shit. I guess I've been putting it off for a while.
Are you alright?
Good question. I don't know. Yes, no, kind of.
I'm going to cast Detect Poison and Disease.
I don't think she's poisoned or diseased.
I assume I get neither of that. I say, well, you seem fine to me.
Well, why don't we just sit and listen for a bit?
You know, Amsen, you asked me the day that I got out of prison if I wanted to talk about things. And I said that I wanted to just not think about it. But I can't not think about it. I try not to, and it just comes into my mind anyway, and sometimes at the worst possible times. So I think I need to tell all of you, just get it all out there.
Well, Ellory, we are all listening attentively and respectfully. So, spotlight's yours.
Not sure a spotlight makes this any easier, but...
Would a drink?
A drink might.
I'll quickly go and get her something strong. Maybe the salt lime.
Sure. Yeah, pounding some of that back will loosen your tongue.
So I guess as we all gather, I'm kind of imagining us sitting on the floor in that area with the hammocks. And after I take a drink, I just look at Ezekiel, and I just kind of try and tune out everybody else and just talk directly to him. So, I guess I should start from the beginning. Well, I was arrested for burglary. I got caught breaking into some rich fuck's house. Thought it would be a good challenge. I was upstairs trying to get into this chest that looked pretty promising when I broke a lockpick and lost control of this fucking magic I have. Basically exploded some furniture across the room, which was more than loud enough to alert the 2 house guards I hadn't realized were there, because I had gotten too cocky and hadn't checked the place out well enough beforehand. Anyway, after they beat the shit out of me, they dragged me off to the Covenant, and I spent the better part of the last year beneath Rothburn Rook, locked up in this cell in the prison there. They kept my hands manacled to the wall the whole time. And I guess Well, that was really it for me. I was one of the lucky ones there. All of the really fucked up shit, the parts that still fuck with my mind the most, it's all things that happen to other people. And maybe that means that I don't have a right to complain about it, because it wasn't that bad for me. But I can't get this shit out of my head. So, the person who runs the show down there, he's this high elf piece of shit by the name of Inquisitor Sarnelis, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. And, well, he's a fucking sadist. He never had an excuse to do anything to me. But anyone that the Covenant wanted questioned, well, I don't think he even cared that much about getting answers out of them. For him, it was all about his fucking experiments. Testing out spells, practicing his magic, and making people afraid of him. He liked that. I think it was the fear that he got off on more than the pain that he caused. Because the fear he got from everybody. Not just the people that he worked on. I tried not to give him the satisfaction of showing him that, but I'm sure he could tell how much he got to me. I was too fucking weak to hide it, and he never even touched me. But every day that I was down there, I wondered if that was going to be the day that the Covenant would decide that they wanted to go after somebody else, somebody close to me, and that they'd use me to do it. And I knew if that happened, I wasn't going to last very long before I broke. Nobody did. And then it would be Mogther down there, and I would have to watch what Sarnelis would do to him, and my sister would be left alone, without either of us up there, and all of it would be my fault. So every day I waited for that to happen, but it never did. I just got to watch it happen to other people, over and over again. And at this point, Ellory pauses, takes another drink.
Vesper reaches over and puts her hand on your arm.
I kind of flinch a little bit.
Okay.
And then realizing that it's you, relax again. As much as I can. I mean, I guess that's bad enough, but it's not all of it. Because Sarnelis didn't just experiment on prisoners. There were also bodies that would get delivered. Bandits, sometimes Covenant, because they don't even have any fucking respect for their own people. And he'd practice his magic on the bodies too. And when he was done with that, he would raise them up as servants until they fell apart too much to be useful anymore. When he was done with them, well, there was this pit, and there was something living in it. Something that Sarnelis called his pet. I don't know what kind of creature it was exactly. I never actually saw it. But the sound that it made. You remember when we were down at the catacombs in Whiteguard? When first Kalvyn and then Vesper fell into that pit of grey sludge? The sound that made, when it was eating away at them, that was the same kind of sound that I heard whenever Sarnelis fed a body to his pet. And I guess that's why I kind of fucked up during that fight. I heard that sound there in the dark, and I couldn't fucking get control over myself. It was like being locked up in that cell again. I was just fucking useless. And I don't know, I guess I'm worried that that's going to happen again. that I'm going to see something or hear something and just be there again.
And I guess it's good we'll always be there to protect you if that happens. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ellory, for what happened to you. The things I would do to your town had I known certain facts.
I've got a few people I think I definitely need to have a talk with when we get home.
But you aren't weak. Listen to me. Fear is natural. Protects us. And when you're in a place like that, where everything is wrong, fear is the only response. The greatest beast in the world has fear. Don't be ashamed of it. And don't think that because you feel it, even now, echoes of it, that there's anything wrong with you.
Ellory, the fact that you went through that, and that you're still here, as functioning as you are, no one who's weak could go through that and still be here.
Sometimes I don't really know how here I am. Vesper, I know you have friends in the Covenant.
That doesn't excuse anything that they did to you. And that doesn't... Ellory, you're more than a friend to me. You are family at this point. And I swear I will raise hell as soon as we get home. I will find out who knows what, and I will do everything I can to... I don't know, but I'll...
Be careful who you talk to. I don't know who knows what. I don't know if your average Covenant knows anything about what's going on down there, but...
Oh, I'm not talking to the average Covenant. I'm going right to the Rothburns.
Vesper.
God, what if Dia knows about this? No, sorry.
I hope she doesn't.
This is a lot to take in, I understand. And all of us have every right to be angry. But we can look into that as soon as we get back to Embershore. But right now, Ellory, I want you to understand that oftentimes the life of the witness is as hard as the life of the witnessed. And if you feel like any less of a person because you've gone through something so traumatic for you, you shouldn't. You're here, you're alive, and you are as much Ellory as you've always been. You prove that to us every day. And if you think that you are less of a person because you did not go through the same things that the people around you did while you were there, that is also false. You had to... Maybe you didn't quite feel the same pain that they did, but empathy is very real and can be just as painful. You went through a lot, and every single one of us respect you as much or even more than we did before you told us this. So don't think that maybe you shouldn't complain or anything silly like that. You are a wonderful person who's had a rough life, and the fact that you can still smile and find joy in simple things that we go through is a testament to your true strength. So don't beat yourself up too much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
In that stillness, after Ellory shares her story, the rocking of the sea gets worse. You can hear the thunder even from the depths of the ship, roaring outside like a beast. You can hear the lightning strike all around you, it seems. Sleep doesn't come easy for any of you that night. You're tossed around, you're jostled, things fall off things and fall and roll into you. But eventually, things settle somewhat. The doors, you can hear the doors open above deck, The sun shines again as you just pass through the sea of storms. You can see it swirling behind you. And in the distance, in the east, you can see land approaching. Far now, to your last leg of the journey. Kalvyn, did you have something?
Not now.
You probably should have let him go first.
Did not
Yeah,
know.
I don't know how to follow that act. Hey guys, I saw a tower once. I don't know if it was real or not. Anyway, let's get back to other more important things.
Okay. Kalvyn, you have your letter. You can bring it up whenever you feel like it. You guys travel? Yes?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I kind of want to sort that out with Meli first, so.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, and I want to get some information on it, but I want to just, basically anything that I told Vesper, or anything that you just assume that I've shared it with the group, maybe?
Just
At
as
this
eloquently.
point? Yeah. If not, you know, however you imagine it in your head is probably the way it went down.
Okay. Hilariously. I love it. Okay. So, sharing, spending your time upon the ship for 3 days, surviving storms, emotional and also very real. You see land approaching in the distance. Over the last day, under the sun, with the storm cleared behind you, as it begins to come into view, you see a coastline of reeds and marsh grass. You can see sandy beaches beyond and deciduous forest beyond that. The air is warmer here, the climate, as you head towards a coastline. Coming closer, you can see there is a bulwark of mangrove roots growing from the ocean as the waves slap against it. The ship slows as you head into this mangrove forest, growing between the shore and the ocean. As you weave through it, it begins to open up. It opens up into a port. You can see a city beyond it, and you can see the docks ahead of you. So as you come into the city, Port Katru, you see the port is busy. The docks are, even though the city behind it is much smaller than Whiteguard, the port itself, the docks are maybe twice, maybe 3 times the size. It is busy with many ships. You can see the docks themselves as you get closer. They don't look wooden. They seem to be made of some sort of chitinous material from some slain crustacean. You can see that chitinous material spreads onto the city itself, where it looks like the city was built upon and within this chitinous material. The buildings in the distance, the architecture of the city itself, there's some that are built with this chitin built within it. There's some that are standing above it, simple sandstone or even a simpler mast and sail design. You can see the buildings are very open, almost skeletons of either the sandstone or wooden mast-like columns, with just a few pieces of cloth as walls. No doors. It's a very open design, architecture for the city. As you guys head in, you notice the number of ships, and you also notice something floating out in the harbor. You see what looks like a floating tiki bar. There's 1 or 2 rowboats docked beside it. You see someone swimming up to it, and you see some individual frantically serving alcohol within it as you reach the busy port city of Port Katru. The ship ports, ropes are tossed over, and the gangplank is let down for you to disembark. Welcome to the INL. The docks are busy as you disembark, busy with a lot of golden elves, but others, halflings, dwarves, humans, half-elves. You see individuals with stark white hair and bright eyes. You see many ships, you see many buildings, and along the docks you see many trade stalls, warehouses. You see different signs set up in the form of sails upon these masts that serve as the signage for various storefronts. This is looks like a very busy trade town. What do you like to do?
This place is really cool.
Before we leave the ship, I would just like to, I guess, either separately or together, depending on where they are, I would like to thank the captain, and I'd like to thank, I've already forgotten his name, the elf with the glaive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You thank them both, and Haladilan, before you leave, he tells you, and thank the Navaton. Our ships do not work as yours does. She's actually the most important.
Then I will follow his advice and thank her as well.
Okay. He tells you before you go do that she's sort of the one in charge of navigating. The captain is more of like middle management who gets it done, but she's the one that charts the course. You thank her before disembarking onto the chitinous docks.
So as we walk down the gangplank, I'll kind of like poke Ellory.
Yeah?
What kind of shoes do frogs wear?
I have no idea, Amsen.
Open-toed. Feel free to hate me.
I hate you so much, Amsen. And I kind of give him a little hug around his shoulders.
And Amsen will just simply say, "Don't let that smile leave your face."
I'll try.
You guys are standing on a busy dock in a foreign city, in a foreign land. Ezekiel, less foreign for you. People watch, look, some point, but none really bother you.
There are all sorts of goods that are coming in and out of here. Maybe we should check the shops before we head out.
Not a bad idea.
I would like to get a better understanding of our journey to Nyessa. I would like to know exactly what cities and towns we need to stop at, and how long it's going to take us there.
We can definitely sit down and figure that out. I think I had a course in the itinerary, and I think Ezekiel and possibly Meli are going to divert that, so we should probably all sit down and work out our new route.
Excellent. And most importantly, I need to know a story from this town, otherwise I will have failed as a bard.
I turn to Orzana and say in Elvish, "How does it feel to have your feet on dry land again?"
Thankful. She breathes in the air and just kind of digs her feet as best she can onto the land. She's ready to get off of the docks and onto actual dirt.
What time of day is it?
It's maybe around noonish, something like that. Sun's high in the air.
I don't think we should separate in the city just yet, since we've just arrived. So raise your hand if you have something particular you want to look for.
I raise my hand.
Vesper has her hand up.
Why don't we start with maybe a point of operation, maybe like an inn?
Good idea. We should probably stay the night here, since I think we all have a little bit we want to do before we head on.
Yeah, best to start in the morning anyway.
All right, let's find a place to stay, and then we can figure out what we want to do for the rest of the day and tomorrow.
Great.
Okay. So someone, I assume you are all helping each other. Someone either give me a perception check or a persuasion check asking around.
I will.
Whether you're looking or asking.
Persuasion. The natural 4, so 13.
Ugh, okay. You ask someone, a golden elf person that looks like they're overseeing some crates being disembarked from a ship. They kind of give you the lay of the land. They tell you the cheapest, or some of the cheapest drinks are in the Swimmer's Draught. That's the bar that you swim to, or you can take a rowboat. Most people swim, or most golden elves swim. Cheap alcohol, pretty good. There's the Walk of Shame, and he points over to it, and you can see there's a shipwrecked ship that's run aground, and it looks like it's been converted into a tavern/bar. He said he thinks they have a few rooms, but it's mostly for the cheapest drink in town. He said for a cheap place to stay, there's Jeriel's bunkhouse. He said it's not very fancy. It's really just a bunch of bunk beds, but it's cheap. He tells you there's the core, and that's where kind of the more important places are, where the helves stay, the captains. There's a few other places where you can buy and sell items along the docks, the trading docks. And you learn of the sweet Anchor Rummery. Actually, that place is semi-famous as a place that produces really good rum.
My apologies. Was that with advantage?
Yes.
Okay, I did not roll with advantage.
Okay, so let's see what you got.
That is significantly better. That's a 24.
Okay. So 24, you also get, since you mentioned a place to stay, and he kind of gets on the subject of drinking, he tells you about a few drinking games, about Golden Elf drinking games. There's one that's called the Cruise Libation, which is a team drinking game involving 6 players on each team. And there's another drinking game, a simpler one called Capsize. He said the champion of the drinking game Cruise Libation is the team headed up by Hell's Serene 2 for Flinching, which is the name of the ship. He tells you sort of how the city runs, because Golden Elves are always coming and going. It's ran by sort of a table of captains that are, whoever's on the table is just whatever captain ships happen to be in port at the time. And they volunteer some of their watchers to serve as guards for the city until they leave. It's a very open town. Most anything goes. But yeah, that's what you find out.
When we hear some of this, I turn to Ball and I say, hey, I'll race you out to that bar in the harbor.
I guess Ball gets ready to run.
Okay. Do you guys race?
Yeah, sure. I guess so.
Sure.
Unless Ellory obviously is joking, then Ball is getting ready for, maybe Ball will say, look to whoever the nearest person is, let's say it's Amsen, and say, you count down.
I kind of look at Ball and Ellory, kind of a little bit surprised. All right. So, races, line up.
We line up.
And if it's just us two who are going to race, I'm going to drop my gear I'll probably give it to Vesper. Because I know I'm going to lose, but I may as well give it a try.
While I'm stretching, I'm going to cast Jump on myself.
All right.
Do I catch him doing that?
I don't imagine he's subtle about it.
Probably not.
All right. On your mark. Get set. Go, as I cast Minor Illusion to make, sparks fly in front of them.
Okay. So you'll run, and with Ellory running beside the dock, heading towards where you jump off the dock. When Ball gets there, he leaps into the air, goes about 30 feet forward before splashing into the water and beginning to swim. Ellory, you dive a good 10 feet or so, pretty solid, and then begin to swim. Both y'all roll athletics checks for the hell of it.
That's 4.
It's a natural 1. So that's a 7 total. I don't know if that still beats you anyway.
Okay. So we'll say Ellory begins to catch up here, despite Ball's significant advantage. You are about halfway. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, so Ball jumps, but he doesn't nail the dive and just belly flops. Water goes everywhere. And it kind of rings your ear, water in your ears, Ball, before you can recover. Ellory is almost caught up. And then one more check as you're about halfway across, finishing the stretch.
7.
24.
Ball pulls ahead. It's hard to compete with arms that size as he pulls ahead, cutting through the waters. You notice the port is still because it's protected by the mangroves. As Ball, with a wake behind him, makes his way to the bar that is maybe 15 feet in diameter and probably doesn't hold Ball's weight. But Ball, you do reach the edge of it with water kind of splashing up. There's a few golden elves swimming in the water drinking. As Ellory catches up and the rest of you look on, that is where we're going to fade out and pick up next week. Also, you guys are level 6 now.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you for listening to this episode of Back to the Story. For notifications when an episode goes live, you can find us on Stitcher, Google Play, Player FM, or TuneIn. Download the app and subscribe or favorite us there. If you'd like to contact us, you can tweet us at back2_the_story. If you can't fit it into 280 characters, you can email us at thebonfirefables@gmail.com. And if you'd like further information about the campaign, the player characters, NPCs, or behind-the-scenes sneak peeks, follow us on either Twitter or on our Tumblr website. Lastly, if you'd like to support the show, feel free to buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/backtothestory.